So when you think about the world's best coffee, where does your mind go? Probably somewhere like Colombia, right? Or maybe Ethiopia? Well, today, we're going to take a trip to a place you might not expect. We're going to dive into a story that's packed with history, amazing traditions, and just incredible flavor. Yep, we're talking about the underrated treasure that is Mexican coffee.
Okay, just for a second, listen. Can you hear that? Imagine you're in this super busy cafe in Veracruz, this amazing port city. There's all this chatter, plates clattering, but then you hear it, this sharp, rhythmic sound cutting through the noise. Tin, 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 tin. It's a spoon tapping over and over against a glass.
You know what that sound is? It's basically a summons. It's how you order one of Mexico's most legendary coffee drinks, the Lechero. Now on the surface, sure, it's strong coffee and hot milk. But a Lechero, oh, it is so much more than that. It's like a little piece of theater, a tradition that's soaked in history. And the whole thing kicks off with that simple tap, tap, tap. And the ritual, it's just this fantastic little performance. So first, they pour a shot of this really potent dark roast espresso into a tall glass. Then, it's your turn. You're the one who taps the glass to call over the server, the lechero. And when they get there, they've got this kettle of steaming milk, and they do the signature move, this incredible, high, dramatic pour that mixes the milk and coffee perfectly right there in front of you. It's amazing. And this whole thing, this entire tradition started at one legendary spot, the Grand Café de la Parroquia in Veracruz. Get this, it opened its doors way, way back in 1808. I mean, this place is basically a living museum. There's even a story that President Porfirio Diaz had his very last lechero right there before he went into exile. Can you just imagine the history soaked into those walls?
Okay, so we've got this amazing cafe tradition right there in a busy port city. But that coffee, the actual beans in that glass, where did they start their journey? Well, to figure that out, we've got to leave the coast behind and head for the mountains.
And that brings us to Mexico's coffee land. We're going to look at the big three growing regions. Now, coffee is grown in a bunch of different states, but these three, Chiapas, Veracruz, and Oaxaca, they are the absolute heart of it all.
What's so cool is how different these regions are from each other. So first up, you've got Chiapas. This place is a powerhouse. It produces a whopping 40% of all of Mexico's coffee, and it's famous for those classic chocolatey, nutty flavors. Then there's Veracruz, the OG, the historical birthplace, right? Their coffee is more fruity with a really nice balanced acidity. And finally, Oaxaca. We're talking super high altitudes here, which creates these really complex floral and spicy beans. Plus, they're often grown using traditional organic methods.
So you've probably picked up that altitude is a really big deal here. But why? What does it actually do? Well, it's pretty simple science, really. When coffee grows way up high, it matures a lot more slowly. Think of it like slow cooking. That extra time lets the coffee cherry develop all these complex sugars, and those sugars get concentrated right into the bean. And the payoff for all that patience? You get way more complex, interesting flavors, and that bright, crisp acidity that coffee lovers go crazy for. All right, so the story of this coffee isn't just about mountains and flavor profiles. No, it's also about a pretty dramatic history. We're talking boom, bust, and a slow, really determined comeback that has totally shaped the industry we see today. So let's walk through it. Coffee shows up in Mexico back in the 1700s, but fast forward to the 1970s, that's when things really exploded. A government agency called INMACAFE started supporting coffee farmers, and it kicked off this huge production boom. But then in 1989, everything changed. The agency was just gone, dissolved, and the industry completely collapsed. It was devastating for farmers. What we see now is the result of a long, slow rebirth, really being led by small farms and fair trade co-ops. And if you want to get a sense of just how massive that boom was, look at this number, 900%. That's how much coffee exports shot up during that government-backed period. It was absolutely a golden age for Mexican coffee. But as we saw, the whole thing was built on a pretty shaky foundation. Okay, so this begs a really important question, right? If this coffee is so good, with this amazing history and all these great flavors, why don't we hear about it more often? Why is it so overlooked? Well, the answer goes right back to that collapse in 1989. When the whole system fell apart, Mexico just lost its spot on the global stage. It got left behind by the other coffee giants, and it's taken decades of grinding, hard work from small farmers just to start getting back on the map. But the story doesn't end with the cafes and the farms. There's another whole side to Mexican coffee culture, something a little more cozy, a bit more rustic.
It's a tradition that happens in kitchens and homes all across the country.
And that tradition is called café de olla. Oh, this is such a simple, beautiful, comforting drink. Basically, you take ground coffee and brew it in a special clay pot, an olla, along with a stick of cinnamon and something called piloncillo. Piloncillo is just this raw, unrefined cane sugar. The result is this warm, sweet, gently spiced coffee. It's exactly what you'd want on a cool morning out in the countryside.
So right here, you can really see the two different sides of Mexican coffee culture. On one hand, you have the Lechero. It's urban, it's a show, it's a cafe experience in a glass. And on the other hand, you've got Café de Olla. That's rural, it's rustic, it's a comforting tradition you have at home in a clay mug. They're so different, but together, they really give you the full picture.
Okay, let's pull all of this together. We've gone from the mountains to the cafes, we've talked about this wild history, and we've seen these amazing home traditions. When you put it all together, you can really see why Mexican coffee is, without a doubt, an underrated treasure.
So what really makes Mexican coffee so special? What's the main takeaway here? Well, it's not just one thing, it's this unique mix of everything. You've got that amazing terroir, right, the perfect conditions for growing fantastic coffee. You have this incredible story of resilience that's led to the cooperative-driven industry you see today. You've got cultural traditions like the Lechero and Café de Olla that are about so much more than just a caffeine hit. And on top of all that, there's this big modern push for organic, sustainable farming. It's really the whole package.
So next time you're at the store or in a coffee shop, maybe you'll pause for a second and look for Mexico on a bag of beans. Look for Chiapas or Oaxaca or Veracruz, because now you know the story that's behind that label. It's a story of resilience and tradition and just amazing flavor that's waiting for you. So the real question is, will you look for it?